Well, welcome, Greenville Oaks family. My name is Collin Packer. Most of you know me, but I wanted to give you an update on how things are going at Greenville Oaks and what the future will hold as we are looking at our next phases of moving together as a church family in responsible ways. We have values that shape our decisions in the days ahead. We want to be a love-first church. And right now that looks like social distancing. It looks like caring for our neighbor in every way possible. We also want to be a church that develops selflessness. These are values I preached on a few months ago, and they're shaping the way we're thinking about our days ahead together. What we know right now is we're all ready to get out of our situation right now. We wish it could all go back to normal in a moment. And yet we know it's probably going to look a little slower than what we would like. And so what I realize is that for many of us, we're in different places as a church family. Some of us wish that we were already back in the building worshiping on Sundays together. And I know that feeling. But others of us, we're much more vulnerable and we're a little more cautious about how that goes. And what I want to communicate to you as one of the key leaders in this church is that we really want to build a culture of grace with one another. We want to make sure that in the midst of all the spectrum of beliefs about what we do next, that we are exhibiting love for everyone and the different perspectives that we have, that we're showing as much grace as we can. And what I'm going to share with you in the moments ahead, I think will show you a way that we can do that best as we support one another in our mission and vision as a church family. Our leaders have been meeting together, and we've been paying close attention to local government and state health officials and watching the guidelines for reentry. We've been on phone calls weekly with our local fire chief to find out what religious institutions are seeking to do and what's best here in Collin County. And so we've been planning for the phases that are ahead, and we're ready to share with you our first phase of reentry into what will be a new normal that will look different than what's before. But we're excited for what this can look like. Phase 1 is going to begin this coming Sunday, May 17. It'll be an opportunity for us for our community groups that are our small groups here at Greenville Oaks, our support groups, Celebrate Recovery and Hope Ministry, for our Connect groups and for our Bible study groups. Those three groups in particular, we're going to open the building to for groups that are 25 or fewer in our church family. And we know that a lot of groups are meeting in different ways. There are groups that are already meeting and have been meeting on Zoom. We're grateful for the ways that you're being creative and finding ways to support one another in this season. And so continue to do that. But we do want to provide a space at the building for those of you who may feel more comfortable meeting in a place that can be better maintained and sanitized perhaps. And so we're providing that opportunity beginning this coming Sunday. So we're working with your group leaders right now, and it'll be their responsibility to work with you as a group to find out what's best for your particular situation. Maybe to continue doing what you're doing, but there may be an opportunity soon for them to decide to come to the building. So they'll be responsible for maintaining cleaning guidelines that we have, maintaining distancing measures, all the things that I want to share with you in this, and you'll see in some written communication to you as well. But it'll be important for them to be checking in with our staff and making sure that every meeting that happens on our campus is registered with our staff and making sure that they are responsible and willing to be responsible for everything to make sure that this can happen smoothly and with the health and safety of all of our people maintained. And so there's some things we want to ask you to do to help your leaders as they're seeking to maintain this safe and healthy space. One of those things is it's just really a guideline of being smart. And I know all of us have different standards about all this, but we know that there are some that are more cautious and there are some that are ready to give handshakes and hugs and try to get back to normal. That's not the phase we're in right now. And so if you are in a vulnerable position right now because of age or because of health concerns, we want to let you know you have the grace to stay where you're at. We would encourage you to do that. We want to make sure that you are safe, and we want your family to know that you're in a good place. And so we want to continue to do our online worship as we've been doing it. All the things we've done before, we want to continue to make it possible for you to engage in the church family in those vulnerable populations. Others of you may be experiencing symptoms that may not be COVID, or maybe you're thinking, I don't think this is that. But at the same time, if you're exhibiting any of those symptoms, we want to ask you to stay home as well, even as your group may be meeting at the building, so we can maintain that safety. Also, we want to encourage all who are attending our building and coming inside to maintain their appropriate PPE, their personal protection equipment. We will have masks and gloves available when you enter the building. And so we'll have all that available for those of you that want to make sure that's what you're doing. We encourage that. We're also setting up our facility in the classrooms we're going to utilize for these groups with 6 feet of distancing. And so the chairs that are in there already will be already set aside to maintain all the proper CDC guidelines. We encourage you to maintain that as well. Again, we're a friendly church, and a lot of us can't wait to get back together and give hugs to one another. And some of us are more that way, and some of us, well, we're kind of enjoying this time of distance. But what we want to ask is when you gather at the building and in your small groups in the homes that you may be meeting in, please do your best to maintain a smile and a wave from afar, to not do any touching, to do any hugs. We pray and hope for the day that'll happen again, but that's not the season we're in right now. At Greenville Oaks, we exist for this reason, to inspire people to follow Jesus. And I'm inspired right now as I watch you doing those very things. You're inspiring our community, fellow believers, people all around the world to follow Jesus by the ways you're loving others, by the ways you're developing selflessness, by the ways you're combating isolation, even through our online formats. It's an honor to be able to serve this church, and I'm grateful that we're beginning phase 1 in this process as we cautiously and hopefully move forward to be God's people in Collin County.